Sometimes you get into a relationship and realize you don't recognize yourself anymore. You're jealous when you've never considered yourself jealous. You're desperate for reassurance when you've always been independent. You're trying to control the outcome, reading into every change, or reacting with an intensity that doesn't seem to match what actually happened. And the easiest conclusion is, this person is turning me into someone I'm not. But what if they didn't create this version of you? What if the relationship simply gave a hidden part of you somewhere to appear? Most of us decide who we are based on how we've behaved in the relationships we've already experienced. We take evidence collected under familiar emotional conditions and turn it into an identity. This is who I am, this is what I'd never do. And maybe that was completely true under those conditions. But then someone matters to you in a different way. The connection reaches a different wound, threatens a different loss, or awakens a need that your previous relationships never touched. Now the version of yourself you thought you understood is behaving in ways you can't explain. It doesn't necessarily mean everything you believed about yourself was false. It may mean those parts of you that had never been placed under those particular emotional conditions before. Throughout your life, you learn which parts of yourself are acceptable and which parts create consequences. Maybe needing people led to disappointment, so you become independent. Maybe expressing anger made things worse, so you become calm. Maybe wanting too much felt humiliating, so you learn to act unaffected. Those parts don't necessarily disappear. They become parts of you that you stop identifying with. And this is what people usually mean when they talk about the shadow. It isn't some evil version of you hiding underneath your personality. It's everything you learn to suppress, deny, or separate from the person you believe yourself to be. That can include fear, jealousy, shame, and the need for control. But it can also include desire, anger, vulnerability, confidence, or the ability to ask for more. Then a relationship creates the exact emotional conditions that allow for one of those parts to surface. Because it became visible through this person, it's easy to believe it belongs to them, that they put it inside you. But they may have only touched something that was already waiting beneath the identity you knew. I think of this as the shadow and power layer of a relationship. The point where the connection begins revealing parts of you that are normally much harder to see. The relationship becomes a mirror. Not because the other person understands everything about you, but because your reactions contain information. The fear shows you what you believe you could lose. The jealousy shows you where you feel threatened. The need for control shows you what feels too dangerous to leave uncertain. This doesn't excuse what the other person is doing, or mean that you should remain in a relationship that is hurting you. It means that whatever the relationship awakened inside you is still yours to understand. Because the deeper question isn't only, why are they making me feel this way? It's also, what is this relationship revealing about me? The version of you that appears in an intense relationship usually is not random. It may be trying to protect you from an experience it doesn't believe you'd safely survive. The jealous part may be searching for proof that you won't be replaced. The controlling part may be trying to prevent the shock of being blindsided. The part that becomes cold or disappears may be trying to leave before it can be left. And the part that analyzes every message, silence, or change in behavior may believe that if it can understand everything quickly enough, it can stop you from being hurt. But calling a version of yourself crazy, pathetic, or not who I really am only pushes it back into hiding. It doesn't change what it's protecting. You don't have to let that part control what you do. But you do have to become curious about why it appeared. Because the question underneath the reaction is often not, what is wrong with me? It's, what does this part of me believe it's trying to preserve? None of this means the most activated version of you is the truest version of you. And it doesn't mean every reaction deserves an action. A hidden part of you surfacing is not an instruction, it's information. The goal isn't to become that part of yourself or force it back into hiding. It's to understand it well enough that it no longer has to take over before you're willing to listen. The relationship may have opened the door, but it doesn't get to decide what you do with what comes through it. The next time a relationship brings out a version of you that you don't recognize, pause before deciding. This person ruined me, or this must be who I really am. Try asking, what conditions brought this part of me forward? And what does it believe it's protecting me from? And that matters, because when you make another person the sole author of who you become around them, you leave all the power inside that relationship. But when you understand what they activated, you regain the ability to choose what happens next. You may still decide to leave the relationship. It may still be unhealthy, but you leave knowing more about yourself than you did before. Not simply terrified that this person had the power to turn you into someone else. Some relationships don't change who you are. They introduce you to what was already there. If understanding yourself is more interesting to you than blaming yourself, you're in the right place. I make videos about the hidden patterns shaping our relationships, who we want, why we want them, and who holds the power. If you haven't grabbed your free relationship pattern starter profile yet, you'll find it below. And if you're ready to go even deeper, I also create personalized astrology readings that uncover the relationship patterns unique to you. I'd love to have you here. Subscribe for more videos or explore the links below to keep learning.